Doyle. I'm on here and have several folks who are going to be helping me with the presentation this morning. In particular, I've got Jim Piccolo. Dave Ticker can see what's going on and can hear. He hasn't gotten his microphone to work yet. He's, I think, going to try calling in. I have Dave Cullen and Bob Dowding, who are also people who are working on this with us. But we would like to welcome you today to this, the first of 12 sessions. In particular, this morning, the presenters are going to be Jim Piccolo, who's the District 1 Director. I've got his contact information up there, and we'll show it again at the end. Again, my name's Tom Doyle. I'm the District 2 Director. And then Dave Ticker, who is our WSSAAA Executive Director, will be the primary presenters today as we go through this. We've gotten this group started. We've got 9 districts in the state of Washington, and we have a representative from each of those districts who hopefully you met at the WIAA workshop, who will be working with us. And I'm going to turn some more people off here. Hang on. Dave and Bob, I'm going to turn you off. So we have these folks who are working with us right now to help us get this thing going so that you have somebody in each district that you can feel like you can go to and talk to. We also have representatives from each of the leagues, and the folks who are the district representatives will help you understand who it is in each of your leagues that will be available to help you with anything that comes up. Our schedule is to do this for the next 4 weeks on Tuesday mornings at 9:30. Sorry about that. Do that Tuesday mornings at 9:30, and then we'll go to once a month. And generally, it'll be the second Tuesday of each month, except on the 2 that are pointed out there. November 4th, because if we did it on the 11th, we'd be into Memorial Day and the Statehood Day. And then on December 9th, we'd be into the National Conference, and so we'll move those particular dates. But otherwise, those are the dates that we'll be offering these. Remember that if you cannot be there during the time that we're doing the presentation, we're recording it, and we will put it on the WSSAAA website later that day or the next morning as soon as our tech guy can get it up. I have emailed to each of you a copy of what we're using for an outline for this, and you can see that on the screen if you haven't had a chance to look at it. It's divided into 3 sections, which is discovery, basically what do I need to do right now to get going and make sure I'm doing things okay. The next section, getting down to work, okay, as I start to feel in a little bit of control of what's going on here, how do I start looking at the bigger picture? And then finally, the 3rd stage of looking ahead. Let's look down the road 2 to 3, 5 years and see where it is we want to take our athletic departments as we get going. So we'll touch on something from each of those in each of our sessions. Rather than going straight through it, we want to just touch on a number of different things. Then you'll have the opportunity to go and meet with and talk to the representatives from your particular districts. Who I showed you here. I'll go back to that one. You'll have the opportunity, if you have further questions, to contact one of us or to go to the representative from your district and say, hey, we talked about this during the session. I didn't quite catch it. Help me out. Where do I go from here? So that's kind of the idea of what it is we're trying to do with this. The mechanics of the webinar. First of all, we're using gotowebinar.com. If you've registered, and obviously all of you who are on here have, then it's going to send you email reminders. It will send you one 24 hours in advance, and it will also send you one an hour in advance of the session. Once we go to once a month, it will also send you a reminder once a week prior to that conference. So you'll get several reminders about when that session is going to happen so that you'll remember that. You have a number of options for participating in this. If your computer has a microphone, you can get on just with the computer, and everything can be handled right there. If you don't have a microphone on it, or for whatever reason you don't want to, you can get on the computer and then call in to the phone number that's given with it. I'm presently doing that. Jim Piccolo's on just with the computer. I'm on here with the computer and phone. I've got a laptop that has the microphone in it, but my desktop doesn't, so therefore I'm on with the phone. If you do not have access to the internet for some reason, you can get on here just with the telephone. You can just call in and you can listen to the session, and then you could go back to the WSSAAA website that night and look at the slides. I will also try to send you before each session, a copy of the PowerPoint that we're using as the general outline for the talk so that you have that as well. Finally, you can also go on, GoToWebinar has a phone app, and you can download that app to your phone, and you can do the entire session from your telephone if you prefer to do it that way on an app. So you don't have to necessarily be in school, or maybe your school tech department doesn't allow you to get on to. We had this last year with several people where their tech department wouldn't allow them to get access to the software we were using, and so they had to find a different way around it, and that phone app is a great way to do it. All attendees are muted until we get to the question and answer period, and again, I do that just because all the background noise, somebody walking into your office or whatever, telephone ring, whatever it might be, would be too much if we had everybody lit up. So there is a section, if you again in the right-hand side of your screen, there's a pop-out control window, and there is a place where you can type in questions that you might have. And as we go through the session, we'll always have somebody watching to see what those questions are, and then when we get to the end, we'll have the opportunity to respond to some of those. I'm looking now to see if, Dave, are you on there yet, Dave Ticker? No. Okay, so I'll walk you through the Dave Ticker part here. Again, he can hear us, but apparently can't get into us yet. Dave Ticker is the WSSAAA Executive Director, and again, there's his email address. For those of you that need clock hours, and that's really all of you, everybody's going to need clock hours, and they don't cost you anything, so there's no reason not to do it. Send Dave Ticker an email at dcticker@aol.com and tell him that you would like to be receiving clock hours for these sessions, and he will help you with how to make that happen. Okay. Again, we're going to do these live, and we just picked a time. We know that 9:30 in the morning is not good for everybody. In fact, it might not be good for a large number of people because you're teaching and doing all sorts of other things. But we needed to pick a time to try to do it, so we decided Tuesdays at 9:30. And then we decided that we would record these sessions and put them on the WSSAAA website. So with your WSSAAA membership, and hopefully everybody will want to be a member of WSSAAA anyway, you will not only be able to have access to those, but the WSSAAA organization has put in for a grant and received it from the NIAAA that will allow 50 of our new athletic directors, and we have about 65 that signed up, just so that you know that. We have about 65 new ones in the state. But the first 50 that sign up for this will have the opportunity to take the NIAAA LTI classes 501 and 502 for free. They will also get a free registration to the WSSAAA conference. I think there's a couple other little things included in there, like a WSSAA t-shirt, and as I understand it, 2 of the 50 folks will have the opportunity. They'll have a little, I don't know how he's going to do it, but they'll have the opportunity to be selected to participate at the NIAAA conference with registration, and I believe your hotel paid there. So it's real important that you pay attention to that and get registered. You were given a form at your at your WIA fall workshop for signing up for this opportunity to take these classes, and get that free registration for the conference. So if you don't have one of those, again, send Dave Ticker an email, and I will put that address up again. Send Dave Ticker an email at that address and tell him that you need that form and get that filled out right away. As I say, the first 50 will be able to do that this year. So it's a great opportunity for new athletic directors.
Yeah, but the key part of that is you got to become a WSSAAA member and an NIAAA member, which is $135, but you're going to get about $350 worth of free stuff, including those 2 LTI classes. So it's a great opportunity.
Great, thanks, Pick. Why mentorship? Why are we doing this? Well, we're doing it for a lot of reasons. It's the right thing to do. We've been talking about it for quite some time, about having a way to help new athletic directors to get into the job and do it well. We found that there is about somewhere between 25 and 50% turnover rate in new athletic directors in the first 3 years. And so our goal is to try to help you so that you can understand the job, feel comfortable in the job, and you can stay in it. And so it's an investment certainly in your future, but it's also an investment in our own futures, because if we've got 60 new athletic directors in the state of Washington and they don't know exactly what they're supposed to be doing, the more problems they have, for instance, an ineligible player getting played, it causes problems everywhere. It causes them in the league, in the district, in the state. So, yes, it's an investment in your future. It's an investment in all of our kids as well. And so it's real important for us to offer this, and we hope that you really take advantage of this and ask a lot of questions. The athletic directors who succeed are the ones who ask questions. The ones who don't succeed are often the ones that think, oh, I really shouldn't ask that because that's a dumb question. So we really want to encourage you as we go to continue to participate. Contact those people from each of your districts. Contact Jim Piccolo or myself or Dave Ticker, and let us know how we can help you as we go through this. In particular today, we want to talk about, as I said, I'm going to do 2 sections here just because the second one is a little bit larger. But I want to talk in that first one, well, how do we get going here? What is it that we do at the beginning? And then what do we do to start getting down to really understanding what it is that we're all about? So first of all, I want to talk about mission and how important mission is, not only your school's mission, your athletic department mission, and then really your own personal athletic philosophy becomes part of that as well. And that may not be really developed yet, but that's kind of our goal, is to try to help you to get that going. I'm going to flip this on to PowerPoint mode here because I want to talk about the mission. Your school has a mission statement. When I was at the WIA workshop the other day when there were, I don't know, maybe 100 people there, I asked somebody, I said, if I asked everybody in this room to tell me what the mission statement of their school is, how many do you think could answer that question? And we were guessing somewhere in the 2 to 5% probably could answer that question. But you really need to understand why it is your school has an athletic mission, has a mission, why athletics exists in your school. You maybe got hired as athletic director and no one ever raised the question of what the mission statement of the school was, or why athletics exists in the high schools as opposed to just letting the community take care of them. I put up here an example of one that I found someplace, and you can put in there what yours is, but what this comes down to is every decision that we make, everything that we do in our athletic department should be focused on the mission. Everything that we do is going to further the mission. If it doesn't further the mission, then we shouldn't be doing it. The problem that we run into is a problem occurs. And usually when it occurs off to the side someplace. A kid becomes ineligible, or a kid's drinking, or whatever it may be. And we go out to solve that problem. And we solve it out here. You know, in ineligibility, we make the kid ineligible, maybe we forfeit a game, and then we start moving ahead again. Or out here with a kid that's been drinking, we, apply our athletic department philosophy and rules out here, and then we keep going. The problem is, if we go in the new direction here, we're sort of heading towards the mission, but not really. We're getting off base a little bit. And so every time that we do something that has to do with the athletic department, we always got to bring it back to that mission so that we are continuously focused on what it is that we're doing. Barb Tortoise, who's one of the folks that helped us to do this in the first place, said that she used to keep a picture of an arrow on her desk every day to remind her of the fact that the mission is the most important thing that we're doing. So I want to encourage you, if you don't already know what the mission statement of your school is, I want you to really focus on that and make sure that everything that you're doing, any decision you're making about whether you're going to let kids play or not play, or you're going to hire more coaches, or whatever it happens to be, take a bus to this place 2 hours early before a game so the kids can do, whatever it is, how is it going to further the mission of your school? And that becomes a critical thing. Now, your athletic department may also have a mission statement. Some of them do and some of them don't in the schools that I've looked at. Some athletic departments say, nope, the school mission statement is our mission statement. Other athletic departments say what we've tried to do is say how the athletic department is going to fulfill the mission of the school, so we've come up with our own athletic department mission. Either way works. Whatever you think is most effective. If you have one, great. If you don't have one, you may want to consider down the road doing one for the athletic department. But I'm not sure that it's critical either way. Either one of those things works. The same thing happens, I think, long-term with your own personal athletic philosophy. Why are you involved in athletics? Why do you think athletics is a very critical thing for kids who are in their teenage years? If you're in the high school, or a little bit younger, maybe if you're in the middle schools. But why is that so critical for their development? And you are beginning then to put together a philosophy of why you are involved in athletics. Maybe as a coach at one time, maybe some of you are still coaching. But in terms of an athletic department, what is it that you really think needs to happen there? Because when you develop that and you start feeling comfortable in your own skin and with your own philosophy, then it's a lot easier to deal with coaches who might be out of control, parents who might be out of control, and all the pressures that we get from colleges and professional ball and sportsmanship and all those other things that happen to occur in there. Jim, you got anything you want to add to that?
I just think it's real important that you live by that philosophy, and you got to remember, it's a growing philosophy. It's going to mold you as you go through. So, like if, for example, if Tommy asked me, "What do you think my philosophy is?" I could tell Tom what his philosophy is, at least my perspective. And if it matches with Tom, then he says, "Well, then I'm doing what I'm doing." But if it doesn't match, then he's got to readjust and look at it and say, "Why isn't it matching from the perceiver and the sender?" So you got to make sure you try to stay with that as best you can.
Okay, thank you.
Last part of that is I was just thinking, you're going to find parents and athletes out there that will attack, and I mean that word, attack your philosophy. And they're going to try you on it. As long as you stay with it, then you're going to be fine, because they know that that's what you really, truly believe.
Okay, thanks.
Tom, can you hear me?
Yes, I can now hear you, Tick.
Oh, good. I got a mic set up here now. I'm ready.
Okay, great. Do you want to add anything since I've jumped ahead without you?
No, we can come back at the end and I can talk about maybe some of those forms for the grant and things. They should all be on our website.
Okay.
Start should have those posted on our website, and we can talk about clock hours at the very end if you'd like me to.
Great. All right, we'll come back to that. Thank you.
Okay.
Okay, so the other thing on this discovery thing, I think, is just 3 quick things, and I'm not going to spend much time with this, but every one of you new athletic directors is on a honeymoon. Everybody is going to give you the benefit of the doubt to start with here, and which is a good thing. I think there's 3 things that you can do to make sure that you stay out of trouble right to start with here. And if you do these 3 things, you'll find that it really makes a difference in your life. First of all, make sure every kid is eligible. You have no question in your mind that that kid is eligible before you allow her to go out in a field or on a court. So whether you have an athletic secretary, whether you're doing it yourself, whether the coaches are helping you with it, you make sure that there is absolutely no doubt in your mind that that kid meets all of the WIAA standards before you let her play. Nothing's worse than playing a kid, finding out that she's ineligible, and then you have to be the one that says, okay, we played an ineligible player, we're going to forfeit that contest. Doesn't go over well with the community that's got you on that honeymoon. So you make sure. That's one that you can control. Another one that you can control is make sure that officials are assigned. You can, again, nothing's worse than having both teams show up for a soccer game, for instance. And you got both teams there warming up. You got parents from both teams there, and there's no official there. So you have the ability to go online and check your officials' assignments. And so you want to make sure before every contest that you've done that. Most athletic directors that I know that use the system well online go on like on a Sunday night and check out the whole week and make sure that they can see that somebody is assigned in all of those contests. So I recommend strongly that you do that. If you need assistance on how to do that, again, get a hold of one of those district representatives, and they can help you with how that system works with the officials. The other thing that's critical, and it'll sound kind of funny if you haven't done it before, but most of us who are experienced athletic directors have had this happen. I send the bus. I'm in Seattle area, and I send the bus over to, I don't know, up to Everett to play a game, and as my team's heading north on I-5, the team from Everett is heading south on I-5. They're coming to my site, and we're going to their site. Again, nothing's good about that. Nobody's happy about that. So again, make sure that all of your schedules, you've confirmed them with the opponents, whether you do that via email or a text message or a phone call. Confirm everything and make sure that you've got all the folks going to the same places. Those are just 3 quickies that I think I'd throw in here.
Hey,
Dave
Tom?
or Jim? Yeah.
I want to reference the bus thing really quickly if I can.
Go for it.
You know, some ADs, and I'm not sure how all of you do it, but some ADs get all the buses. Sometimes it's the coaches that get the buses to go to the games. I had a rule of thumb where every Friday, I worked it out with transportation. We called every single Friday at the same time, and I would go over the entire next week of transportation just to make sure that they had all the right buses. And sometimes they had it in, and sometimes they didn't. And it was just peace of mind for me to make sure that there wasn't one of those oops moments where you didn't have a bus for a team.
Great. Thank you. Just some quick things. Make sure you've got games coming up. Maybe you've already had a home game. Maybe you haven't. But I would strongly recommend that you do a physical walkthrough with somebody who's familiar with the site, knows all the back doors where people can sneak in, knows how you would get an emergency vehicle in if you needed one. Just do a physical walkthrough with your site manager or the person who was athletic director the year before or principal, whoever you can. Make sure you have a really good idea of how that site works. Know who you can go to. And that's why what we're trying to do is make sure that every district has a representative, and I'll show you that list again later. Make sure that every league has one, so that when you go into a league meeting, you know that there's somebody there who has said, hey, I'm happy to help any new AD with whatever questions you might have. So know who those people are. If you don't know it already, know about the WIAA monthly checklist, and I'm going to go there if you go to the WIAA website and you go to the AD Center, go to AD Center Home, and on that page, you will see under the Athletic Director Organizational Kit, there's several things. There's bound for state regulations, should you qualify for state, that you need to pay attention to. There's a coach's preseason checklist that's really valuable in helping you to make sure you've gone over all the things you need to with coaches. But in particular, there's a monthly checklist. And if you click on that, there is a list that is laid out for athletic directors that specifically talks each month of the different tasks that need to be taken care of in order for you to be successful. And so it's trying to anticipate what's coming up and, you know, all of that business. So if you haven't looked at that, boy, I'd go get a copy of that right away. There's, again, each month is in there, and things are laid out, I think, really well with the checklist and the whole business. So if you haven't seen that, certainly go in and take a look at that.
This checklist I used all the time as an AD, and then when I became a district director, I had Kim Wilson, the guy who was ahead of me, put one together for me, and I use it all the time. Just taking 2 minutes, scan it over, make sure I'm on the right focus of getting things done on time. It is a great, great tool to have for you.
And Pick, I don't want to make you sound too old, but how many years you've been doing this?
This way too many. Way too many. I'm in my 39th year.
Okay, and he's still using the checklist. That's my point. And and adds to it each year so that he has a way of remembering things that might have popped up the previous year. So it's a great thing for you to do. Make sure that you have important contact numbers with you at all times. You know, league athletic directors. So again, you're supposed to, I use the example, I'm driving north on I-5 and Everett's driving south on I-5. I see that bus go by. I've got a way to contact somebody and say, whoa, wait a second, you're going the wrong way, or am I going the wrong way? I've got phone numbers with me all the time. Same thing, have phone numbers for WIAA, have it for, each district has a representative from the WIAA who is responsible for their district. And so, you know, we have Brian Smith, for instance, in ours. So if I've got a question, I know to call Brian, but have those assistant directors' cell numbers there with you. Have your district director, so, you know, Jim Pickle in 1 or me in 2, whoever it may be, have those numbers available to you. And then have emergency information, emergency numbers for your principal, anybody that's critical for you to get an answer to something, the transportation coordinator, where's the bus? Have those phone numbers with you all the time. Imagine being at a football game this Friday night, and it's a crazy night. Silly things are happening, and at halftime your coach says, we're not going back out for the second half. What do? You know, is that even legal? Of course, it's not. You may or may not know that. It depends whether you've read through that WIA book yet, but who do you call? Call somebody right now on the phone, get them on there, and make sure that you can get an answer to that before something happens. So make sure that you have a whole list of telephone numbers with you at all times. Anything on that, Jim or Dave?
No, the more you know, the better off you're going to be, that's for sure. The more contact information you have. Yeah. Because we've all made those phone calls many times.
And the other part of it is, I may not know the answer, Tommy may not know the answers, but we'll find it for you as quick as we possibly can, because we have those numbers of which to contact people that may know those answers, direct links to those people and say, hey, here's where I'm at, here's what I'm going to make the call, and we can help you right away.
Great. Okay, and Pick, I'll ask you to just kind of run through this. There's obviously too many things to talk about every topic that's in here, but you might mention some of the ones that you think are critical out of there.
Yeah, this is pretty well, you know, you can read through this, but there's some things that you really want to make sure that you are very aware of in not only your league's handbooks, but maybe the district handbook, because we do have one and it's online, or the WI handbook, and knowing that both Tom and I can interpret the rules, but we can help you through those rules, and if there's an issue that I'm not quite sure, he's not sure, We're going to get you those and help you the best in. Our job is to, as well as the WI, is to help you through, not to find fault. It's to help you through those things and those legal requirements you need to do, with the eligibility, with your insurance, with the paperwork that you need to have. And I go back to an old adage of Cliff Gillies, you know, document, document, and document some more, because you need all that at which to protect yourself as you and the school gathering that information for those athletes. So it's really important. So know your WI handbook. You know, I read it all the time, but I don't know it backwards and forward like the guys at the WI office, because that's where they need to go. Know about your league handbook. What is it the requirement is when there's a rain out? What do I do if there's a rain out game? What if I do if the team doesn't show up? Know those things, how to handle those ideas. And in district handbook. Coaches handbooks. Some districts have them, some don't. The coach's handbook was put together, at least at our school, by my coaches. I put them together. I made them put it together. I had them put it together because I wanted it to be a useful document, not a document that went up onto the shelf. That's the worst thing you can do, is put it up on the shelf and it's gone. So I had the coaches put it together, and then it's a growing document. It's a growing thing all the time, because if you ever get in that legal situation, and hope you don't, that's one of the questions you're going to ask. Let me see how you were organized. Let me see your handbooks. You got handbooks? What governs you? Well, I got league policies, I got district policies, I got WI policies, I've got all sorts of different policies, and you can show them that. But if you don't have it, you're hanging out there. Know the sports rules as best you possibly can. If you don't know, ask and read the book, get clarification, because your own coaches are going to know those rules more than you do, but you need to ask. Ask all the time with that part.
I'm going to jump in there for a second, Pick, and
Yeah.
emphasize two things. Number one, first of all, the points of emphasis. At the beginning of each book, they tell, each of those rule books, they tell what rules have changed and what emphasis they've asked the officials to pay attention to this year. And I think it's really important that you make sure that your coaches know what those are, because those are the things, again, when we get talking about your legal duties down here in a second, one of them is going to be to make sure that everybody knows what the specific rules are and how they apply to that situation. So make sure that they are very much aware of those.
Make sure you get joined into the state organization. It's a great resource, an outstanding resource for you. It's an outstanding way for you to connect. That's the WSSAAA group. It's an outstanding way to go to a conference and learn more about what we do. I know as a young AD, when I first went to it, I was overwhelmed going, holy cow, look at these big name people, and I'm just a little schmuck coming out of here. But I tell you what, they open their arms. Everybody wants to help everybody out to do their job better. And I think that's really important. Of all the conferences I ever went to, the state conference and national conference are just outstanding compared to the principals and vice principal conference I used to have to go to, because of the network and the passion they have for what we try to do is with our coaches and our athletes. NIAAA, another professional organization, it goes up. I can't say enough about that. I've been involved with it for the last 20-plus years. Great people in there, great resources they have. There's nothing wrong with shooting them off an email and say, hey, I got a question dealing about A, B, C, D, whatever it is. They'll get you articles. They'll get you information. They'll set you up to whatever it is. Plus, we're almost offering 40 LTI classes. Those are learning, teaching type classes. They're 4-hour blocks. There's a whole litany of things I can get in off of that. But there are 4-hour blocks. You can get clock hours for them. You get manuals for them. It's a great way to get some education and certification, whether you want to be an RA, which is a registered administrator first year, or you can become a middle school registered administrator, or your CAA, which is certified, or you get a master's in it. There's a whole litany of things professionally you can get yourself into, and we can go more details later if you want to. But just look at it. Don't be hesitant. Get involved. Get after it. The real thing I want to get into is those 14 legal duties. And they are huge legal duties that you are going to be held to that standard across the United States. This is not just the state of Washington. This is across the United States. In fact, it's even going farther internationally with these type of duties for those type of athletic directors. Know them. Know them with your coaches. Know them and share them with them. And it's not to scare them, but is to keep them aware, because that's one of your legal duties, is to inform them of what they're to do.
And Chuck,
especially with the
I've got them up on the screen. If
Yep.
Anybody can do a search for the 14 legal duties, and you'll
Yep.
find them, or send me an email, and I'll just send you a copy of this back out with it. But I do have it up there too for you, Pick.
Right, and so you got like I'm going to go real quickly. Planning, supervising, and some of these are just common sense, but you'll be amazed how many people don't remember what it is or what's going on with it. Supervision, assess the readiness of the athlete to compete, and it is you and your coach that makes that determination. Actually, your coach does. You get them out in wrestling. If you got a 190-pounder wrestling, a 120-pounder, you're in trouble. And your coach should know that. That isn't a preparation for that. How many practices have they been out? How many practices are there since they've been hurt? The concussion thing. All that is readiness of that. Safe playing condition, that's a number one thing for your coach and you. You got to walk the fields, walk the gym. You see something that isn't safe, boom, it's got to stop right now and get it safe, no matter what it is, because that will be held to that standard. Properly fitting equipment. You can't have the pants that hang down in the football pants down to the knees. You can't have the helmet that spins around. So you go through all those legal duties and take some time, look them over, and share them with your coaches. They may go, yeah, but you need to really understand they're held to that standard. If you ended up in a litigation issue, that they will say, well, what about these 14 duties? Did you do the duty to warn? Did you properly fit the uniform? Well, no. Was there insurance on that kid? No, I forgot to get insurance on that kid. He didn't make my eligibility. The question is then how big the check they're going to write. So, I mean, you really have got to spend your time going over those legal duties. Supervising your coaches, big, huge one of yours. You have an evaluation process, don't have an evaluation process. How do you supervise your coach? How do you supervise all the social media things? That's part of supervision. How do you train them? Do you do workshops for them, or you just say, hey, go get trained, come back and give me your certificates? I mean, what are you doing to enhance and help your coaches? And there's a whole litany of those things I could help you with on those, or Tommy or any of us can. So know those things. Title IX, you better understand Title IX, with the women's sports, and it is not a reverse thing. It doesn't mean that if there are more sports for women than there is men, or more money for women than there is men, that is reverse discrimination. That has nothing to do with it. And there's really some questions you got to deal with that, especially with booster clubs, especially with donations, especially with like sports. You got to be real careful. And if you don't know, there's somebody in your district that is a Title IX person. Deal with that. And if you don't know, ask somebody. Ask us. But that's the question. How do you deal with Title IX on this issue? How do you not? And there's people out there that can help you statewide that are very, very knowledgeable about that. Again, it's to keep you out of trouble, and they will tell you what you can do or help you what you can do on those things. Social media, huge thing across the United States, huge about that. With our new coaches and new ADs coming in line and the new administrators, that's the way they are. That's the way they are compared to what us old curmudgeon type guys like us, who aren't quite as fancy as what the new people are. Got to be aware of that social media, the texting, the Facebooks of the world, what's really going on out there. Harassment, bullying, you guys pretty well aware of that. Huge in the school district. Every time you hear somebody who pulls the word harassment or bullying out, it's an investigation, and at each time. But you better understand the rules that deal with that, the rules of engagement. Questions on those? I mean, we're skinning over them. You could spend a whole couple hours on each one of those, or on this whole subject matter, to which to help you, to walk you through. It's not to scare you. It's to give you tools in your box of which to perform your duty.
And our goal here is not to define all of these and talk about all of these. We will be talking about those over the next 11 sessions in varying degrees. We got Steve Bridge will come on and talk about social media, for instance. But just these are things that you need to be aware of. I was in an eligibility hearing the other day, and we talked about bullying. A kid was claiming that they were leaving the school because of bullying, and we started talking about whether the school was aware or not that bullying was taking place. And one person was saying, well, I could see how a school wouldn't. And the rest of us said, hey, bullying is such a big issue that when that topic comes up, if you hear that word in your school, that needs immediate attention. Same thing with harassment. Immediate attention right now. Don't pass go. Don't do anything except go talk to an administrator and say, here's the issue that's out there, because those are huge issues in schools today. Wouldn't you say, Jim?
Absolutely, they're huge, and they eat time. Like I said, they eat time. But if you don't do it right, do the investigation, the paperwork, again, document, and document some more, you're going to end up going sideways on it. And you want to make sure you go back to that philosophy. I'm going to stay the straight line of what I've got to do. No matter how many people are going to be firing things at me, I've got to stay the straight line because they're going to look to you to maintain that.
Okay, so
the social media thing is huge. I just got done at the NIAAA, and I'm just going to real quickly, NIAAA state coordinators meeting where there's about 50 athletic directors across the United States, and Robert Polk and myself presented a part of Steve Bridges' class that we're helping him put together on the social media, and it's amazing. There was probably 50, 60 ADs there. Of those 50, 60, I asked one question: how many have a policy dealing with social media and boundary invasion things? 3 raised their hand. 3 raised their hand. It's out there, folks. Not even knowing it, and it's a huge issue.
Okay. I'm going to, let's see, I'm going to bounce down here to the next slide first. And I'm going to, before I open it up for questions, I'm going to turn Bob Dowding and Dave Cullen's mics back on. Dave or Bob, you got anything you want to add here?
No, but I think the big deal is if you have a question about, if your mind is telling you a little bit about, you have a question in your mind about something, it's better to ask before you go out and do something. I think that's really important, is to don't be afraid to ask if you question something in your mind. Can I do this or can I not do this? Just ask. I think that's a big deal.
Okay.
The one thing I wanted to add was when you guys were talking about your mission for the school and athletic department, it is very important that those statements are posted so parents, coaches, and everybody know where they are and what direction you're going.
Yeah, that's an important thing, and we'll talk more about it at a later time, but I say that to ADs who are having trouble with parents all the time. If a parent's coming in and talking to you about their kid's playing time, and you can say to them, look, up on the wall there is the mission of the school. Tell me how your kid's playing time fits into that mission. It just makes that conversation a whole lot easier and helps you out in those situations. Okay, I'm going to try turning on everybody's mic at this particular point and see if anybody has questions. If it gets too noisy from background stuff, then I'll have to deal with that. But I'm going to turn some of these on. And does anybody have questions out there? Based on what you've heard. Now's the time to ask.
No questions so far.
Okay.
I think I'm good there.
Okay.
Did you unmute everybody? Because on my screen it says mute all.
No, everybody's unmuted at the moment.
Okay.
If I push that button, I think everybody's off again.
Got it.
Any questions? Bruce Brown, I'll put you on the spot again. Bruce is from Ohio, and they're looking at doing the same thing out there. Bruce, anything you'd like to add?
The only thing that I would add to it, I think this has been a great discussion. You guys have really done a tremendous job of outlining essential pieces. A lot of consistency with what we would expect to have a conversation with our own Ohio athletic director. Certainly there's elements there, as you've already pointed out. Pick mentioned about learning the state athletic association's rules and regs, but again, just like you would want to network with your fellow ADs, you'll also want to network with those people in your state office, because that's what they're there for too. They do not want to see issues develop. They're not in a gotcha mode. So as practicing athletic administrators realize that networking is a huge element of success in this business.
Great, thank you. And I think that goes back to what Pick talked about before. Of that hopefully you can tell your school that you need to be going to that WSSAAA conference in April. That it's critical for you to be there for that networking purpose as well as your own learning. Dave Ticker, you want to talk to us a little bit about, again, the clock hours and the NIAAA grant?
I got a question before that.
Okay.
Concerns eligibility. I'm at a new school, and I don't feel comfortable with the clearance process or how kids are cleared to be able to participate. And so instead of trying to reinvent the wheel, I'm kind of seeing what everybody else is doing, or could maybe email a packet of what that looks like, something like that.
Okay. And Lance, what school are you at?
I'm at Kyle Benton High School.
Okay. All right. I'm going to jot a note down here that we'll see what we can do to get you some information on that. The WIA has some pretty good checklists. Have you gone and taken a look at the WIA checklist for eligibility?
I haven't looked at all of them, no.
Okay. All right. So I'll get you a link to that, Lance, and send that off to you so that you got something that's specific for that.
That'd be great.
Okay. Any other questions from anybody before I turn this over to Dave? Okay, Tick?
I've already had a couple of people send me emails saying they would like to get clock hours. What we're going to do is I'm going to put together a clock hour sheet that will list all of the sessions on it. And when we're done with the final session, depending on how many you went to, I'll send out the instructions to every single AD that Tom has listed, so it'll be real specific. If you've been to 7 sessions or you even do the recorded sessions and you want clock hours, this is the only time when clock hours, we decided that we're going to make them free. This is the only time all year where clock hours are free. We just feel it's that important for the information that we're sharing for you guys to have these clock hours and to, just to have this opportunity. So clock hours will be free, but it's the only time they are free during these webinars. And the other piece to this is we do have that grant. When you went to the WIA workshops, the paperwork that you had showed the grant application. If you're a new AD, first, second, or third year AD, you haven't been to the conference before, you have an opportunity to get free registration in 2 classes, preferably 501 and 502, which certifies you as an RAA, which kind of is that first step in the certification process. And I think I've got 8 turned in so far. That should be on our website right now, and if it's not, you can't find it. Stark should have put it up there. You can call me and I'll send it to you directly. Strongly encourage you to go to the conference. Strongly encourage you. Your WSSAAA organization is a nonprofit organization that our whole goal is just to educate athletic directors and help them create the best programs they can. So strongly encourage you to go, and we'll do everything we can to get you there. And the grant is a great opportunity to get there for free.
Hey, Dave, I got a question.
Yeah.
You mentioned before that it's for those that have never been to the conference. I was at the conference last year, but I'm at a new school, so I would not be eligible for the grant.
No, Lance, I'm going to tell you to go ahead and put it in anyway. Because, I don't, right now I have 8 applications, and I know I'll have more, but I'm going to send 50 people to the conference for free. Okay. So my priorities are going to be, if I have 80 signed up, I'm going to go back and I have to figure out which 50 are going to go. The 50, my priorities are going to be first-year ADs, obviously. Okay. And then second-year ADs that need the education, maybe that haven't been there. But my guess is you'll still be in the mix.
Okay, thanks.
So go ahead and apply.
Anthony, I saw your name pop up there. Were you asking a question?
No.
Okay. Anything else, Dick?
I just think this is a step in the right direction and gives us a chance to reach out to all new ADs, and I'm hoping that everybody, our ultimate goal is to keep good people around for a while. And I know it's a little overwhelming at times when you see all the things that you have to do to be successful, but we've all been there. We just take it one day at a time and surround yourself with a social support network that can help you, and that's what we will do. And that's what we consider ourselves. So, when we're done, and Tom, you can speak to this, but this process that we have here, that this mentoring program, in each district we have a specific person outline that's going to connect with you and follow up with you. So take advantage of that expertise too.
Rick, any final thoughts?
No, outstanding. Just don't be afraid. You may not know what question to ask, but just ask, and we'll try to help you as best we can.
Yep, I think that's the most important thing that you've heard over and over again, and that is network. Ask questions, talk to people. Here's the list up on the screen again of those folks from each district, and we've got somebody from District 6, but I don't have it confirmed yet, so I'll have that up for next time, I hope. But these people have said they want to be there to help you in any way they can. So if we can do anything to help you, I'm going to shut everybody down because I hear a phone ringing there, so I shut everybody off. If we can help you in any way, we would love to do that. Having said that, I think that's it for today. If we can provide you with any resources, please let us know. Know that this will be on the WSSAAA website. If you go to the WSSAAA website and go over to the far right where it says More, you'll click on Mentor Program, and that's where you'll find the recorded sessions from these seminars. There's a couple on here that we'll get rid of that were actually our meetings, but they'll be on this spot from this point forward. With that, I thank you all for participating, and we'll look forward to seeing you again next Tuesday, or feel free to call or email any of us for further information. Thanks, and have a great day.